How's it going? Hey, I'm pretty pumped because in the mail today, I got my brand new mood rings from Cubelets, and I've never used these before. They're very flat, but they have this light that can spin around inside it. So let's try it out. I'm going to get myself a battery, and if you put it on there, nothing really happens because you need some sort of input as well. So I'm going to use a dial, and hopefully when I turn the battery on, these things will do something cool. Wow. So the more you turn it up, the more input there is, and the more it does. If you turn it down, it kind of slows down and does a little bit less and a little bit less. How cool is that? Let's try it with a distance sensor. Close my hand is, more power is. Wow, that's awesome. The closer my hand is, the more power there is and the more it lights up. That's intense, man. It's like a whole bunch of people camping. It's intense. Get it? Yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. Now, I've got another one. What happens if we get two going at once? They do exactly the same things? No, they don't. Wowee. Check that out. Wowee. What happens if we do four at once? Four at once? Are you kidding me? I've got a couple of passive Cubelets here. I might just do it this way. Let's go four at once. Wow, they're all totally random. What if we do them side by side? Wowee. How impressive is that? Look at this. Woo, look at my crazy eyes, man. Woohoo! Yeah. All right, now we're going to do the big test. So we're going to connect the Cubelets to an iPad. So in the Cubelets app, which is the orange app that you can get from the App Store for free, I'm just going to attach the battery to one of these. Oh, still flashes every now and then. Watch. There you go. Every now and then it just flashes to show that there's a little bit of power on, that you left the batteries on. That's pretty cool too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect it to the iPad, and you don't need anything else except for the Bluetooth hat, and it'll connect to the app. It's saying, I don't understand what that thing is. So maybe I need to update the app. So I just went into the App Store and I updated the Cubelets app. Oh yeah, now we're cooking with gas. There's a mood ring on there. Woohoo! Okay, let's try remote control first. I'm going to use the slider on here to remote control the mood ring. Oh yeah, that's looking good. So you can just give it more input or less input with the slider there on remote control, which is pretty cool. Personality swap, and we're going to choose the mood ring, and then you can do things like make it blink or crescendo. First thing I'm going to try is the blink. So there's an option called blink. Let's try that and confirm, and then it will update the mood ring with a new piece of code which will hopefully make it blink. I just sped the video up here because it seemed to take a long time to change personalities and install the different firmware onto the mood ring. So I decided to try and install the Cubelets app on my phone, and I was going to just transfer it from my phone onto the new mood ring, and that seemed to take just as long. I was using an iPhone 10, which is pretty old technology, and I was using an iPad 6. It may work better with newer technology. It eventually worked, but it took about 4 or 5, 6 minutes to actually install. So successfully downloaded, and then as the description says, it changes colors or hue based on the value. So if I use the remote control, it would change the color of the blink. The Cylon lights personality looked interesting, so I decided to set that one up on another battery with another hat, and it turned out pretty interesting after quite a few minutes. Success. Oh, here we go. That's a pretty cool one. So let's see if we can control it. Oh, yeah. So inside the app, there's 11 different personalities actually that you can choose from. So I proceeded to install all of them. Whoa! So I've changed the personalities on all of them. This one here is called the rotate threshold, and if you add a sensor, then it changes color depending on how much input there is. This one here is called the rotate crescent because it's sort of like a moon shape that spins around, and if you add input to that, then the crescent changes color depending on how close your hand is. This one here is called the rainbow spin because it spins around. The colours stay there, but every now and then one gets brighter. It's a bit hard to tell on the video. Then we've got this one, which is called the rainbow smile, and it's basically just like a half circle of coloured lights, and then you can change the input and it changes the colour of the lights. So a high value makes them blue and a low value, I'm just using a knob there, goes from green to red. And this one's the hue exploration one. Every ring changes colour based on how much input there is. And then there's the hot and cold, which basically the whole ring goes from blue up to red based on how much input there is. Let's just try that one. The whole ring just is one colour. It's hot and cold. And then there's the dial gauge, which I think is the least interesting one, because all it does is it has this white light that spins around depending on the value of the input. So, I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's white. That's the only white one. Then there's the Cylon lights, which I like. This one goes back and forth, around. And you can change the input and it changes how fast it goes. But it's red. There's a crescendo. This is a crescendo, and it has lots of colours and little bursts of light every now and then. So that's a pretty cool one. I like that one. And then there's the blink, which is supposed to look a bit like an eye opening and closing. So that one sort of blinks and goes on and off depending on how much input there is. It's supposed to emulate an eye to a certain degree. Not that convinced. And then the last one is the default one, which I think is the best one. And they obviously made the best one, the default one. This is the default one, which is pretty cool. That's maximum input, and then when you slow it down, the lights get duller and duller. But maximum input, it's flashing and lots of colour. Still a bit hard to see on the videos. Anyway, that's all the different personalities. I think I like the default one best. I think if a kid got this one, they'd be a little bit disappointed, maybe. I think I'm going to set them all back to default though, because I think default's best and there won't be any arguments, and it's still pretty cool.
So check this video out. If you want to see the first time I ever used mood rings in the classroom, here's a video. They're all on default settings, but they're all pretty awesome. Check it out.